In this short take, I will show you two of the N4V for Webby Gauge widgets. For those of you who may not be aware of our feature set, I wanted to quickly review the Need4Viz solution for SAP Business Objects Web Intelligence. N4V Widgets integrates new data visualization components and navigation features, enabling advanced dashboarding in Web Intelligence. N4V Maps allows the integration of offline and online maps, as well as custom plans directly into Web Intelligence. N4V Analysis is a powerful pivot table with integrated charting for in-depth data exploration. And finally, N4V Publisher is designed for distributing information outside of the SAP Business Objects platform. Gauges are useful for displaying key performance indicators and measures. There are currently 7 different gauges available in N4V widgets. In this short take, I will use the angular and hemi gauges to measure sales performance. I'll start with the angular gauge. I begin by selecting the table block, then right-click to turn into a custom element. I'm going to select the angular gauge from the Gauges gallery. Let me double-check the data assignment. And I'm going to drag the minimum and maximum values into the gauge data assignment. Okay, now I'm ready to customize the gauge. So I'm going to go into Format Custom Element and Extended Parameters. And under Options, I'm going to adjust the gauge start and stop angles to give the gauge a different appearance. There are 3 gauge styles in the Options panel. There's Classic, which is the default, Clean Transparent, and Clean Colored. I'm going to choose Clean Transparent for this demonstration. I'm going to change the needle color to orange. And I'm going to increase the width. Notice that the color and radius of the axis, the dot in the center of the needle, can also be adjusted if desired. Next, I'll go to the Labels panel, and I'm going to give this gauge a title and subtitle. Notice that the measure value in the box can be formatted or hidden, but I'm going to leave it as is. Next, I'm going to add a $sign to the measure, make it a prefix, and then I'm going to reduce the precision of the measure to 0 to get rid of the pennies. Finally, I'll adjust the colors and positions of the ranges. So the angular gauge can have 3 ranges, and notice by default that low values are green or good, and that high values are red or bad. Since this is a sales contest, high values should be good, and I'll swap the red and green colors. The use of red, yellow, and green is not required, and any colors can be chosen for the 3 ranges. Notice that I've also removed the white space from in between the 3 ranges. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, now let's look at the Hemi gauge using the same sales data. Unlike angular gauges that have 3 color zones, Hemi gauges can have up to 5 color zones. These ranges can either be fed in as part of the data provider, which I'll show here, or the ranges can be defined in the widget parameters as I did earlier for the angular gauge. I'll begin by turning the table into a gauge. And once I've done that, I want to make sure that I've assigned data to the widget. So I'm going to use all 5 zones here. Next, I'm going to use the widget's properties panel to customize the appearance and behavior. All right, so from the extended parameters, I'm going to start first with the global options. And I'm going to adjust the numerical format of the measure. And then I'd like to set a frame border. I like to use a radius of 10 to round the corners of the border, and I'm going to give the border a width of 3. Next, I'll open the options panel and adjust the gauge start and stop angles to give the gauge a different appearance. Instead of 90 degrees and 90 degrees, I'm going to use 75 and 75. I can also upsize or downsize the width of the arc. So I'm going to make it more narrow. So I'm just going to use a value of 10. And there are 3 needle shapes. So there's diamond or rounded, diamond being the default, and then chevron. So I'm going to go with chevron. And I'm going to increase the width a bit. Notice you can set labels if desired, but I'm going to let those go for today. I'm going to add a $sign to the measure, and I want to make that a prefix. I'm also going to reduce the precision down to 0, and that will get rid of the cents. And then finally, I'm going to adjust the color of the ranges. Remember that the range zones were fed into the gauge from the feeding panel and from my data provider, although they could have been set here if desired. So all I'm really doing here is setting the colors, and I've created a gradient of different shades of green. So each zone gets a progressively darker hue. And for those of you who are paying attention, that is blue, not green, as I stated earlier. Okay, and notice that the color of the measurement tracks with the range that the needle is pointing to. All right, so that's a pretty sharp looking gauge, and I can scroll down and I can see how each of my salespeople are doing with the sales contest. Gauges are just some of the over 60 widgets available in N4V for Webby. I invite you to try out our fully interactive demo site at need4viz.com. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. You should also follow Need4Viz on LinkedIn and X to stay up to date.